If you've been eyeing the new Dyson V8 and picturing the same tired entry-level stick vacuum people only buy when it's on sale, stop right there. That's not this vacuum. Dyson quietly fixed the one thing that made owning a cordless vacuum genuinely frustrating over time, and almost nobody's talking about it yet. Welcome to Sweep Gear, where we dig past the marketing and tell you what a vacuum actually does in a real home so you can spend less time cleaning and more time enjoying the place you just cleaned. Here's the frustration almost everyone with a cordless vacuum eventually runs into. The battery works great for the first year or two, then it starts fading, runtime drops, eventually you're babysitting a vacuum that dies halfway through the living room, and your only real option is buying a whole new machine. It's one of the most common complaints tied to this entire category of vacuum, and it's exactly why so many people hesitate before spending real money on one. That matters if you're a busy parent trying to get the whole house done before nap time ends. It matters if you've got a dog shedding across every rug in the house. And it matters if you're simply tired of paying premium prices for something that quietly gets worse every year you own it. So let's talk about what Dyson actually changed here, because it's more than a paint job. This new V8 pushes out 30% more suction than the original V8, and runtime jumped by 50%, up to a full hour on the lowest setting. The trigger is gone too, replaced by a simple press once button, which sounds small until you've vacuumed an entire house holding a trigger down the whole time. But the change that actually solves that battery problem I just mentioned, the battery itself pops out. You can swap it. If it wears down years from now, you're not replacing the whole vacuum, just the pack. Now, does all that power actually show up when you're cleaning your living room, or is it just a number on a spec sheet? That's where things get genuinely impressive. On medium pile carpet, this thing cleared nearly all the debris in a single forward pass, chunky stuff and fine dust both, with barely anything left behind. On deeper, thicker carpet, it needed the lower suction setting to glide smoothly, but once it did, cleanup was still strong, just a few stray bits left scattered around. That's a completely normal trade-off for this kind of vacuum, not a red flag. Here's something I have to mention because it's the kind of claim vacuums make constantly and almost never deliver on. Anti-hair wrap brush heads are everywhere, and most of them still leave you cutting hair out of the roller eventually. This one was put through real hair, human and pet, spread across carpet, hardwood, and even a cushion, specifically trying to make it tangle. It didn't, not once. If you've got long hair in the house, or a dog that sheds like it's a competitive sport, that's the difference between owning a vacuum you actually enjoy using and one you dread pulling out. Pet hair pickup off carpet was excellent too, practically spotless after a single pass on the middle power setting. The one area that wasn't quite as strong was the small handheld attachment used on fabric surfaces like cushions. It picked up a good amount of hair, but not everything, so if you're deep cleaning upholstery, plan on going over it twice. Hard floors told a slightly different story. Cleaning power was still solid, picking up fine dust and larger debris in one pass, but pulling the vacuum backward tended to push some of that debris around rather than capture it immediately. That's a pattern you'll see across most stick vacuums in this category, so it's worth knowing rather than treating it as a deal breaker. If you're weighing whether this is the right vacuum for your home, I've left the current price and where to find it in the description below. Now let's talk about where this vacuum actually falls short, because a review that only tells you good news isn't helping you make a real decision. There's no auto mode here. Pre-Sierra Dyson models can sense the floor type and adjust suction on their own. This one can't. You're switching between low, medium, and max manually as you move from carpet to hardwood and back, which means a little more hands-on effort during your clean. And remember that battery I was excited about a minute ago? Here's the frustrating part. There's no percentage readout, no time remaining display, nothing. Just a small light that blinks when you're running low, so you genuinely won't know if you've got 5 minutes left or 30 until that warning shows up. For a vacuum built around fixing long-term battery headaches, that's a strange gap to leave open. Max mode is also short-lived, somewhere around 7 to 8 minutes before it needs a break. That's fine for quick, targeted messes, but don't expect to run the whole house on the highest setting. And the handle itself is plain plastic with no cushioning, something a few people noted becomes noticeable during longer cleaning sessions. None of these are deal breakers on their own. But stacked together, they tell you, this is a vacuum that prioritizes core cleaning performance and long-term battery practicality over polish and convenience features. So how does it stack up against your other options? Compared to the older, cheaper V8 still floating around at discount prices, this new version is simply a better machine in almost every measurable way. Stronger suction, longer runtime, and that swappable battery the old one never had. If you're deciding between the two, spend the extra bit and get this one. Compared to Dyson's V9, that model is lighter and comes with an actual screen showing useful information, but it's also less powerful, and the dustbin is noticeably smaller. If a display and lighter weight matter more to you than raw suction, the V9 is worth a look. And stepping outside the Dyson lineup entirely, brands like Shark typically sell comparable vacuums for roughly half the price, often with auto mode included. You're genuinely paying a premium here for the Dyson name and the suction performance that backs it up. Whether that premium is worth it comes down to what you personally value. So, who is this actually right for? If you've got a mix of carpet and hard flooring, a pet that sheds, and you want real Dyson performance without paying flagship prices, this hits a sweet spot that's hard to find elsewhere in their lineup right now. It's also a smart upgrade if you're currently using an aging, underpowered cordless vacuum that's been losing steam halfway through every clean. If you specifically want hands-off auto suction, a clear battery percentage on a screen, or you're working with a large, multi-story home that needs long stretches of high-power runtime, this probably isn't your best fit, and that's completely okay. Knowing that now saves you a return shipment later. Given everything we just walked through, strong carpet and pet hair performance, a genuinely solved long-term battery issue, and some honest trade-offs around automation and battery visibility, this lands as a smart, practical pick for the price, especially if your home leans carpet heavy or you're sharing space with a shedding pet. It's not trying to be Dyson's flagship, and it doesn't need to be. If this helped you figure out whether it's the right fit for your home, tapping that like button genuinely helps this reach more people trying to make the same decision. And if you want more honest, no fluff vacuum breakdowns before you spend your money, stick around and subscribe to Sweep Gear. Before you go, I'd love to know, is battery life or raw suction power the bigger deciding factor for you when you're vacuum shopping? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every one of them.